Welcome in to the Michigan Postgame Live, along with former Wolverine Jim Scarcelli. I'm Dennis Fithian. Little Brown Jug coming back to Ann Arbor as Michigan goes out and wins by 52-10, the final. Scar, good evening. What'd you think of the Wolverines' performance this tonight out in Minneapolis?
Hey, last week I said it doesn't get any better than this would happen out in Lincoln. Well, this was probably better because once again, we win the football game, no turnovers. We clear the bench. Everybody played. Who's the guy with NBC that thinks they got to point the one guy out that didn't play? I mean, really? You got to point the one guy out that didn't play? I mean, come on, man. Leave the kid alone. That's terrible. Anyway, that's that. But just great job, players, coaches. Again, no turnovers. You got to get your team ready to play every week, Danny. It ain't easy. It ain't easy to get your team ready to play every week. Notre Dame's going down tonight at Louisville. Is Louisville a whole lot better than Minnesota? I don't know. It looks like Miami's having trouble at home against Georgia Tech. I don't know, man. That's Coach Harbaugh getting his team ready to play every week. Played a bunch of guys, a lot of good stuff to talk about, cleared the bench, everybody played, we're rolling.
Yeah, well, you can say whatever you want about where Michigan's at. You look at the rest of the teams, you want to talk about the top 25, or you want to talk about the, 5 or top 10 teams. Michigan looks as good as anyone. They're right in the mix. Things are going to get a lot more difficult, but it always does. And if you're going to win a championship, you got to play your best football in November, but after that too, getting into January. But I think this team is right where they need to be. I like them on offense and on defense. Sure. I mean, there's a couple of things that you point out and say you'd like to see this, you'd like to see that. But man, Mason Graham comes back today, and after a play or two, he's out there with his club playing great. He looked awesome. Will Johnson had the pick 6 on the second play of the game, and JJ McCarthy, whatever you want to say, you get into you need special players. You need dynamic players, and Michigan has them on both sides of the ball. I would be really encouraged if I was a Michigan fan at this midway point of the season, if you just parachuted in on the year, Scar, and saying, hey, how does Michigan look? I would say they look pretty good. They're right where they want to be.
Yeah, and I've been saying it for a long time. I want to see the back, and I really feel real good about Tuttle. Tuttle could have gone in there and did, that's the thing you want to look at. Is there a huge difference between JJ and Tuttle? Tuttle did some good things in there. Throws the nice swing pass. He shows the ability to run. That's what I want to see. That's what gives you confidence. Hey, Rashad, you talking about Mason Graham? We're a different defense with Mason Graham in the game. We are a different defense. The kid's got a club on his hand, can't grab. Defense, that's the advantage you have. You can use your hand. The kid was outstanding. Outstanding today on defense. But anyway, just quick run through. Playing the night game at against Bowling Green, that stuff helps. You get a routine. Mentally, you get a feel for how to prepare. What do you do all day long in the hotel? And, that helped. It helped us tonight. Bo used to take us out in the parking lot, and we'd take a walk around the hotel. We used to, we ain't sitting in the dang room the whole time. But that stuff is good. And I didn't know what to expect from this team. I didn't know what to expect from Minnesota. They go screw around at Northwestern. They played, Louisiana, but hey, you got the number 2 team in the country. You just don't know what's going to happen there. A lot of good things with our offensive line. We ran what we wanted to run. We had great play calling again. The collaboration is sound. They're good. They're not predictable. Throwing it, I think they really did. I think they really worked hard toward getting 50-50. I'd like to see what the stats were run past, but at least when the starters were in there up until the end, I think they really did a good job of throwing it a lot more than we have in the at least in the other Big Ten games. But the one thing, Denny, I would do is I'd have an 80 number on Trente Jones. I think, we put him in the game so much with that 50 number. I don't know why they don't put an 80 number on him. They would still have to honor it as a pass threat. That's one thing I would do if I was coaching this team. I'd have an 80 number on him, and and then and then if you want to run the football to him, it's let him be concerned with that. I thought Donovan Edwards was fine tonight, man. He was physical. He moved the pile a couple times. We got 3 good running backs, Denny. We got 3 of them, and who cares who's getting more reps? Who's getting more? We got 3 guys that we can beat Ohio State with, that we can beat Penn State with. And we're going to need all 3 of them if somebody gets dinged up. And they all do different things, I mean, Mullings is what a pass protector he is, man. I don't know if you looked at one play, Blackledge drew it up, but anyway, we got 3 guys that they all do different things better than the other guy, but they're all good. They all have their strengths.
Yeah, well, I think Donovan Edwards is one of the best weapons in college football. And, if you want to say he's running back 3, I mean, he was tonight for Michigan, however you want to, slice it. But we know what kind of special player that he can be. And, having Mullings in there, Mullings looks like a great player. I mean, he really does. Like, I don't know. He looks like when you get a back as big as he is, the way he blocks, you mentioned he also went out. He caught that big 4th down, went out there. It looked pretty easy. JJ could have run it, but he threw it to him. Mullings looks fantastic. So, that's good. The running game is in good hands. I wouldn't worry too much about that. What about Scar right there at the end of the half? You mentioned Blackledge. He's like, why are they taking a time out here? And, I was thinking that too. It's like, hey, you want to get in there and preserve some time if you want to have a shot to win in this game. But, Fleck's thinking, hey, if I run this down here, I get the first down, I can take a couple shots at the end zone. And if not, I can get away with a field goal and I don't leave Michigan any time. Obviously, he played it out well because it worked perfectly for him because he was able to get that touchdown. What about that? The safety bid up a little bit. Should have had some help there.
No, Denny, there's no excuse for it, man. Sanders-Stroll knows exactly what he did. There's no excuse for it. He bid on that little outcut fake, and he let the guy get behind him. There's no reason for that at that time in the game. He's not a young guy. He's been around, and he screwed up, and he understands it. And it was a gift. That was the one gift that we gave them. But defensively, man, if you want me to go through some things on defense, I thought their run game was not that good, but they did some things. Minnesota, they ran the football on us. First half, they ran the football on us. Minter started, we started out in our base. Then our base, when they use the term base, is when we got 3 defensive linemen and 2 edge players. They call that base. And when we only have 2 defensive linemen and 2 edge, they call that nickel. Anyway, they were running on us and ripping us when we were in nickel, okay? And Minter made some adjustments. The guy's smart, and he doesn't wait till halftime. You can't wait till halftime. And we got out of nickel. We went back to base. We made it more difficult for him because I think our coaches were concerned with their ability to throw the football because the kid has done some good things throwing the ball, but we let him run the ball a little too much early on. But our coaches made adjustments. I think our linebackers were a little confused at times. But really the biggest thing was the coaches made the adjustment. And that's what you do as a defensive coach. You got to get into the head of the offensive coordinator. And I think Minter was into his head. He understood what he wanted to do, when he wanted to do it. And initially he wasn't. But as things went on, we got it done. But real quick on some player position groups, I thought our edge guys did a pretty good job. McGregor is outstanding, real good, much better player against the run. We had good pressure from all of them. We're using 3 of them at times, and 3rd and long, he'll put 3 edge players in the game. He takes out he'll leave 1 defensive tackle in the game. But our edge players were pretty good. And tonight we hardly dropped them. It's, that's one of the things. Last couple of games we were dropping them a ton. Today we were rushing them. But McGregor knocked the pass down. And our edge players were sound. Inside guys, 55. Again, we're a different defense with him. 94 has been excellent all year long. 78, Grant, and the big fella 99, they were okay, good in there. I thought Benny did not have a great game. Benny got pushed around a little bit. He was high. His technique wasn't great. He made a play at the end, but all those guys will learn from it. 91, Denny. Who is 91? Got a lot of playing time at the end. I'm gonna look while you're looking that up. I'll finish up on linebackers. Our linebackers do a good job with blitz. Junior did a good job timing up blitz and doing some things with blitz. Our linebackers have been solid. Michael Barrett makes plays all over the place. Pollard and Hood got in the game late, did some good things. Who's 91, Danny? You find him?
Yeah, Cameron Brandt. He is the true freshman defensive tackle.
Okay, well, he got a lot of clock. They must, and he played like a freshman. But if he's a true freshman, that's a good thing that they're putting him in there, and they gave him a lot of clock. He played a lot tonight. But obviously, we understand the secondary. It was really just one big mistake, and Johnson, you said had the pick, the second play. The quarterback just misread that zone coverage. But a lot of good things from coaches and players defensively, keeping that team to really just 3 points.
Yeah, seeing Keon Sabb get that pick six, take it to the house, that was impressive. There's this part I don't know. Adam says, and I've seen people throughout this first half of the season talk about cornerback 2 as Michigan's only weakness, and he says it's not that bad. I don't know, weakness, like you've got Will Johnson, who's one of the better corners in the country on one side. So automatically other teams are going to be going to the opposite side of Johnson. So, and Michigan has some players over there. If it's Sainris still is not a weakness. I mean, he was out there and he got beat in one play. You're going to give up, just like you can give up some rushing yards. You're going to give up some plays. So I don't know, like weakness. What's the best way to say it is that, teams are going to be going after the cornerback 2 spot over there, and you're going to give up some plays. Does that mean is the weak spot? Everything else is strong? So maybe I understand what people are saying there, but I don't think it's weak like that this is going to be something like Michigan. Every team is going to have, you can't have 11 guys that are all Americans and they're going to be first round picks.
We do. Minter does a lot of things to protect guys too, Denny, and I'm sure, and I think he's doing things to force people to try to force people to throw the ball at Johnson. But that was just a mistake, a mental mistake by Sandstrom. That was not a skill thing. That was not a talent thing. He just, I don't know what he was thinking. He's got to understand the situation in the game. It was a gift. But just really good to see 50. It was amazing to really realize how important he is to our defense, because I was hoping there wouldn't be as much of a drop off between him and Jenkins are all Big Ten type players, but there's a drop off between those two in our third, fourth, and fifth defensive linemen, which is okay, but I didn't think it would. It really stood out, hit me in the face today that hey, Graham is right there with Jenkins. He's a playmaker.
I'm with you there. Old timer asking when the last time that Michigan had 2 pick sixes. It might have been last year. It felt like maybe that Michael Barrett had 2 himself, maybe against Indiana. That would be my guess without looking it up. But I think as recently as last year. Kojo drops one, but then comes back. He had a good game. Some of the underrated things, like I liked the Michigan wide receivers here. Cornelius Johnson is a big target. If he drops one, he'll come back. He made a lot of nice catches in traffic over there. Roman Wilson didn't get into the end zone, but he made some big time plays. He's legit. We know that. And then Colston Loveland ended up getting that touchdown. And so what you saw from the pass catchers, and then McCarthy, we haven't mentioned too much about him. McCarthy, he had the hiccup against Bowling Green. If he did not have a hiccup against Bowling Green, we'd be talking about J.J. McCarthy as the number 1 player in the country, the leader for the Heisman Trophy, the potential #1 pick in the NFL draft. But, he threw all those picks against, you never want to see that stuff happen. But, he said it himself, and others have said it too. Hopefully, you have it at that time. And JJ said it was a blessing in disguise. I heard Tom Brady, saying, hey, you'd love every single game to go out there and, be at your peak performance. That's the idea. But in a game that's as physical and everything that you're trying to do, it's not going to be like that. So I know, JJ is, he's the straw. That's what you need. But they've got a few of those guys like that. That's also very nice. I mean, you just talked about those playmakers on defense, and I agree. Graham and Chris Jenkins on the end. These guys aren't just good football players. These guys look like they're great football players. These guys are playmakers. Will Johnson is in that category. And on offense, Blake Corum and J.J. McCarthy and Roman Wilson and Colston Loveland and Scar, this offensive line, the way that they've got the depth, the way they've worked this right now. I don't know. Henderson seems like he's getting more comfortable every game. Like this is, we always know we've known that the two inside guys are tremendous. The two captains and Keegan and Zinter. I mean, of course you should be bullish on Michigan right now. They're doing everything that you want them to do.
Yeah, I'm going to quick respond to Vince. He said Stewart's our best pass rusher. I agree. I think Stewart and McGregor are right there. Those two guys are our best pass rushers. And they definitely bring some good pressure. Okay, getting into the offense real quick, Danny. Yeah, JJ was real good, man. Real good throwing the football. Only a couple balls that weren't catchable, but most of his balls were catchable. And then how about quarterback keep on the goal line? How about quarterback keep? We call it twice, and both times there's an unblocked defender. There's a guy unblocked right there, and JJ just outruns him and scores a touchdown. You just can't coach that stuff. But it was a good play call, and Minnesota had it defended. And JJ just with the athletic ability. Denny, our coaches are doing some things that create problems. They take our running back. I've mentioned this before. They move him from the left. They move him to the right. They move him to the pistol. All that movement of the running back, and then you just throw the ball. You do something simple. Because a lot of defenses they dictate things based on where the running back is. Okay. And I like how our coaches are constantly shifting around because you never know what kind of headaches that's causing the defense. But, throwing the ball from I-backs early in the game, we got, we're in two tight ends and I-backs. And again, we're throwing the ball. I like seeing that stuff, throwing it from running formations. So we saw a lot of that stuff. We threw it back to 89. He caught a bunch of passes tonight, Barner. So that's good stuff. And I talked about how great it is that we have three back. We did some good things with Donovan. We threw the ball to him. I think they throw a lot to him just underneath. Throw the ball to him for a little 4-yard when they're in zone, and then Donovan will make people miss. And just like you're talking about. But real quickly about the offensive line.
Yeah.
Henderson, his second start, did some good things. He missed a guy on a 3rd and 1. We got stopped on 3rd and 1 run time, and we didn't block it. I don't understand why we have our back so deep in the backfield on short yardage. It just, they know what the hell they're doing. I don't like having them so deep. You don't understand what I'm saying, Dave? By the time the back gets the ball, if they're bringing pressure off the edge, and that's how we got stopped on 3rd and 1 today, because we didn't seal the edge. I don't know if it was a mental mistake, but they stopped us.
Are they that deep when they're down on the goal line? Because everyone knew it was going over the left side, and they stopped Corum. They stopped, they stopped them a couple times down there, but then Michigan was like, we don't care. We don't care if you know where it's going. We're going right over the left side again, and they did it. Is he that deep down there on the goal line?
I don't think they had him as deep. They changed their formations. Okay, Michigan will change what they're doing on 4th and 1 and 3rd and really short yards. They'll change. They don't always have the same formation. But the one time we got stopped, the back was real deep. And Henderson, I don't know how they had him blocked down and he didn't block the edge, and the guy off the edge made the play. And I don't know if I don't know who they're yelling at. Am I yelling? If I'm the head coach, am I talking to the offensive line and the scheme? But whatever it is, it's not good enough. Just another solid performance by our center. They did some things, Denny. They pulled them today. They pulled our center and Henderson. So that was new. We haven't seen them pull the center. They used to do that with Ulu last year. Now they haven't done that all year. And you say, why do you pull the center? And why? Who cares if you pull the center? Well, it matters if people are keying. Who are the linebackers keying? Who are people keying when they play Michigan? You know, are they keying guards to figure out run pass or the power play, or what are they running? So now when you're pulling centers, it screws up their keys. You follow me? So when you're pulling your center and your backside tackle and running your sweep or your power, whatever terminology they use for it, but we did that a few times. We had success with it, and the kid's a hell of an athlete, but those three guys are solid as always. And our offensive line was good protection in general. Again, like I said, another thing I would do if I'm the head coach, I would play our third guard regularly. I mean, I don't know who the hell our third guard is. Is it Gio? I don't know who it is, but kind of, you know, they talk all that BS how they're going to play it like hockey. They're going to rotate these guys in.
They don't talk that BS about the interior offensive lineman. They just talk about
But he talked about it, Denny, about rotating those guys.
They say the offensive line, but what he means is the tackles.
Well, whatever, but they didn't do it. You're not getting those guys ready. I don't like how I would play my third guard. He would have played he wouldn't have waited until the fourth quarter when we're up 50. So whatever it is that's their philosophy.
Hey, those guys wanted to come back. They could have gone pro. And if they said, look, we want to be in there, we want to run that, they're the captains of the team. And so when it comes down to that and in the playing time, I know maybe El Hadi's dealing with something. Most people, yourself included, don't think there's much of a drop off. And they think this El Hadi is going to be, you know, a future all Big Ten type interior offensive lineman. So sometimes you just got to wait your turn. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah, I know, but Danny, you
I want to just say that. Good to see Shane. Go ahead, Scar.
Yeah, I just think you keep your starters healthier. They're not getting as many. They don't need it. It's not as much wear and tear.
I hear you.
I just don't agree. You know, it is. That's not how I coached it. I played my third guard. I played my third tackles. How about this 44? This kid's a stud. Bredesen, you know, Denny, I don't know what you call him, a Swiss Army knife. The kid does everything, man. He blocks, and they got him blocking in all types of forms. They put him in motion. He'll kick out a 3 technique. He'll block an edge player. He'll lead up in on a linebacker. They sneak him out for little flat passes. The kid's a hell of a player. He's a real good asset. He did a good job today.
He was a quarterback.
Quarterback play was real good.
Who's that? Sorry.
44 Bredesen.
Oh, no, after that you said something.
Well, our tight end play was good. You know,
okay.
Loveland had some catches, had some nice blocks in there. You know, I keep looking at blocks. I know the media wants to keep focusing on how many catches a guy has. I want to keep seeing Loveland block, because the better he can block, the tougher it is for us to be defended. And what did I see from 7? I saw some good things. We saw 20 catch the ball. That's good. When all three of our backs are pass threats, Danny, you know what I mean? It's tougher for the defense. If 20's in the game and they think he's got no hands, okay, that's easy to defend. But if they got to defend 20's hands, 20's ability to run the football, 7 speed and hands, you know, those are headaches, those are problems. So that's good. I don't like how Donovan runs out of bounds, though. I don't know who. Maybe they tell him that if they're worried about the guy getting hurt.
Well, I don't know. Blake ran out of bounds too. I wouldn't worry too much about that. I don't know.
There's 2, 3. I thought he could have got 3 more yards one time down there. And
I hear you, but you want JJ running out of bounds.
Right? JJ's a whole different deal, Danny.
Okay, yeah, I know.
JJ's a whole nother planet. He's the franchise.
How about him lowering his shoulder down on the goal line? You like that?
I don't really like it. I don't even like calling those plays, man. But I mean, we did it. We scored 2 touchdowns on it. But JJ's a whole nother deal when it comes to running him and getting out of bounds.
Yeah, I understand. Michigan went 3 and out coming out of the second half after Minnesota had scored that touchdown, and then they had a big third down. I thought the biggest play of the game was actually JJ being able to hit Roman. Then they came back and hit Roman again. That's when he ran that one on that drive, the second one to make it 31-10. That was the biggest drive of the game. That was the biggest play of the game in my mind, going to Roman Wilson on that third down. I want to hit on a couple feedback, Scar, while you collect some more of your thoughts and go over this team. I like where you're going here. Georgia played really well, and Georgia's the two-time defending champ. And, Michigan got run off the field in the college football playoff, and a lot of people, so they're going to be scared. You're going to be scared of Georgia. I understand that. Scott is scared of Georgia, saying that there's no way. He watched Michigan tonight, saying that there's no way the team beats Georgia. He said it just looks like the same old stuff. Great Big Ten team going to get destroyed by the best of the Southern teams. Scott, I think that if you rolled that out there over the last, 20 years, I think you're right. If you rolled it out there the last time Michigan, the debut of the college football playoff, of course you were right. I mean, Georgia thrashed them. And I think if you would have said that last year, if Michigan would have got in there, I think that it holds true. I don't think that this holds true. And I know Georgia played great today, but I don't think that what you're saying, which has been true the last 20 years, is true this year. I don't think Georgia, and I know they look great today, but I think Michigan, they can play with them. I think they can play with everyone. There's a lot of teams in there. It's not, they talked about it on the broadcast. It is true. It's not Georgia, and oh my God, everybody should be scared that you're going to, the Michigan can play with them. That's the way I feel midway through. So I get what you're saying, but I'm not there. You got any thought on that? Can Michigan?
Georgia's quarterback hasn't looked great all year. Today he looked real good. Okay, the kid's getting his. This is game 6 now. He's finally settling in, and they've got great players though, man. And but the quarterback play has not been what they had last year. They don't know how good they had it with that kid last year. Now Santa Stroll was responsible for that deep third, and he bit. He shouldn't have bit on that. He should have had more of a cushion there. And there's no reason to bite on that little out cut that the guy faked the out and up. And it's not. He wasn't getting any help on that. That was his responsibility.
All right. What else you got down there on your notes that you want to do?
I just thought I keep getting back to Minter having answers and adjusting. And let's look at the TCU game, Danny. We got beat up so bad. It was his worst coaching job, our worst playing job. And I think there's some things that we did and learned that we're incorporating, Danny, in what we're doing on defending some of this spread stuff. Okay. I looked at anyway, that's just kind of what I'm seeing. Little things, little subtle things that we're doing. I think a lot of the dropping of our edge players and the things that we're doing against this spread stuff, I'm hoping I'm right that some of this stuff is good. Scar, any concerns with some of our run defense? Yeah, it wasn't. We had a few players that got pushed around, and Danny, when they look at the film, what they're going to find out, because we rotate our interior defensive line. I bet you're going to see when Mason Graham was in the game, they didn't have as much success running. When he was out, I think the teams had a little more success running, but a lot of it was when we were Minnesota was looking at our package. Were we in our base with 3 defensive linemen, or were we in our nickel with 2? And when we were in nickel, they were running it. And we had guys out of position, and they were, because I think our coaches were so worried about their pass threat. But our coaches adjusted to us getting ripped early in the game with the run game. That's a smart of good coaches. And our players adjusted to their technique a little bit. But no, it wasn't a matter of we're just, we don't know how to play the run now. It was scheme, and it was adjustments, and it was, we figured it out. That was what was so encouraging for me was, they were ripping us. Okay, but what's the answer? Okay, make an adjustment, coach, and have that was my job as a coach, not to just complain and whine. You got to have answers, and Minter has answers. That's what I love about the guy.
Good to see Trevor back in here. Trevor, earlier in the week, him and I were going at it, and he's back in here. So that's good to see. And him talking about the coverage. I'm surprised. Now, this is from a Minnesota standpoint. I'd have to go back and watch. But even as I was just, taking this one in, Minnesota, they seem like they went away from what was working. I mean, they were gashing Michigan in there. And I know Michigan changed it up. But then they went a little bit and started to they went away from just running.
They got away. They tried to continue, But Minter just said, the hell with it. I'm not playing 4 guys in there now. I'm playing 5 big fellas, 3 D linemen, 2. Watch the film.
Okay.
They were ripping.
I'm going to watch the film with you on Monday. I can't.
Okay. They
seemed to be a pivotal part of the game. If there was I talked about the second series, I'm sorry, in the third quarter and the big third down, but obviously Minnesota being able to have some success running and then Michigan either slamming the door or making the adjustments, maybe that's the number one key on the defensive side. That would have been the number one key.
I think Minter was playing. We were coming out with our basic 4-man nickel package, on first down, and they were running it out of that, and they were ripping us a little bit. We started the game with the base, and that's when he threw the pick 6, the first play of the game, and then we start going back and forth. It's a guessing game. Okay, Minter's playing 4. Now they're going to run it. We got 5 in there. They're going to throw it. And then Minter started to come out with 4, but he was blitzing. He was bringing backers. He was bringing corn. And then we started to shut their run game down with some of the stuff he was doing. So there's coaching going on. It isn't just players didn't know how to play the damn reach block or the double team. There was scheming going on, and our guy was ahead of it.
Nice. I like it. I liked and I saw, I wasn't spending the entire evening on Twitter. Actually, I'm on the Maize and Blue Review. We have a game thread on there. It's interesting what people are saying in there, commenting on everything that's going on. But I did the one time I checked Twitter, there was a Michigan State fan on the tweet on my feed who was incensed that Jim Harbaugh would photobomb or jump in on the turnover picture with turnover buff. And, so there's the difference. Like, even if I would take a step back and say, hey, is this something like that, you should be upset about? This is a rival, just like, trying to get some feedback there. But that Jim Harbaugh jumping in on the turnover, that was one of the highlights of the game for me. I thought that was great.
Hey, Denny, man, a head coach, Bo used to tell jokes. He was funny. He did things, there was a love there. There's a connection there. And Jim, that's him, man. That's Jim. You're gonna do it. You don't try to be somebody that you're not. He's just, that's what he is. He's got his players want to play like heck for him, and he's got his assistant coaches want to fight for him. So I'm sure he don't give a damn what anybody thinks about him.
Well, no, I know that. I mean, he's got his wide receiver gloves on and his
he don't care. That's just what he is, man. And so that's great. Let me talk quickly special teams. We punched a lot of them touchbacks. I don't know that they returned any of them. We kicked one out of bounds. I don't know what that was all about. Samaj Morgan is returning kicks. He had one decent one in there. Our punt coverage was good. I'd like to see our punter drop it down in there on the 10-yard line to start. I don't think we didn't miss an extra point, and we made one field goal, right, Denny?
Correct.
So that's all good. That whole thing is solid, man. The kicking game was solid. So you don't want to have any flaws there. But I'm fired up that old Tuttle went in there and did some good things. I know I keep beating that up, but it's a good thing that to have the confidence of the offense and the team when they see that film. When those guys on offense put that film in and they see this guy run around and throw those nice little bubble screens and he's accurate and he's sharp and he's crisp and he's avoiding, that's good stuff for the confidence of the whole football team.
I wrote it down, and as I was writing it down, I was going to say, I bet Scar leads with, Jack Tuttle getting in there with this, backup quarterback, and you're right. It's important. I know I'm having fun with you, but all through this, the Big Ten slate here now, Rutgers, Nebraska, and Minnesota, Michigan has been able to get a slew of guys in there. I mean, the backups, you got to get your roster out. You got to be like, okay, 91's in there all the way through. There's DJ Waller again out. They're getting a lot of guys. And, the safety rotation because of the Rod Moore injury and the Page, in and out, and Will Johnson, they're playing a ton of guys. They continue to kind of shuffle these guys around. And, now they get to, they don't have to flip any switches or anything else. They're right where they need to be for the second half of the season. But this thing is going well. The rotations, all of this. None of these guys, look out of place. So
yeah, and Denny, you don't expect. I mean, we thought we were going to have our 3, game/scrimmages with those 3 non-conference games, where we would clear our bench. You don't expect to get that. I mean, it didn't happen against Rutgers, but you don't expect to go to Lincoln or go to Minneapolis and clear your bench. So that's great. That's because believe me too, and I was the starter at, where you'd like to get the hell out of the game if you can get out early. Those are extra bumps and bruises you don't have to deal with. So that's all good. From a starter to get the heck out. You talk about Keegan and Zinner wanting to be in the game, but believe me, I would think those guys want to get the heck out too, because they're just getting beat up, man.
No, I hear you on that. It's that's the head coach has got to usually, and I'm talking. I'll just take you out of the equation. Whenever I'm around Michigan fans, they always want the quarterback out quicker. They want the starters out quicker than the coaches. Traditionally, what I've seen over the years, it's almost always like that. I'm going to empty my playbook here and some of the other things that I wrote down. I wanted to ask you, did you have a look? The Harbaugh called a timeout, and it was a challenge. And when I looked at it, I didn't go back and look at it a bunch of times, but I looked at it twice. Donovan Edwards looked like he fell over the first down marker.
I thought so too.
Yards, and then when they came back, and Blackwood was like, "Oh yeah, good call there." Terry Donahue, good call. I was like, "Was that a good call?" It didn't seem like a good call.
Yeah. I thought he made it too, man. Jim pretty much went by the Schembeckler playbook today. Bo always wanted 3 quarters. I don't care how much we're beating him by. He wanted his starters playing 3 quarters. That was my understanding of his philosophy, and I did the same thing as a coach. 3 quarters, and that's pretty much exactly what we did, because we had the second offense and in there to start that 4th quarter. So that was good stuff.
Yeah, you mentioned this earlier, but the whole part about the running game, Blake Corum is the Blake Corum of last year, of that 42-yard run. His ability to get into the end zone. He's a playmaker. He's one of the best, if not the best, running back in the country. I mean, he's that good. I mean, he's special. That's great. Mullings getting in there, just from the way these first 6 games has unfolded. Mullings has emerged, which is a good thing. But Edwards trying to get this going, and Marcus wondering if he's hurt. He's been running hard. There was a couple short yardage in there where he was trying to plow ahead, and what you saw underneath there, I'm okay. I think I'm not worried at all. But I know people, you're used to seeing Donovan Edwards, running these 75, 85 yarders against Ohio State. And, we have not seen that yet from him. So people are just wondering, where's the greatness, from Donovan Edwards? So,
Hey, I'm seeing an improved player. Okay. I'm looking at the short runs. Okay. Denny, I've covered it many times. Those 2 runs, those were not what Michigan did. It's what Ohio State did not do. They were in a goal line defense on our 20-yard line. They had no one in the gap, and he was untouched. Okay. So I'm not taking anything away from the guy. It was more of a mistake on what Ohio State did not do. Okay. I think Donovan Edwards has gotten better every year. I think today was one of his best games. I bet you any money Michael Hart will say that, because he showed physicalness, and he showed some toughness on some of them runs in there. They weren't perfectly blocked, but he picked up yards. I'm good with where he is. I think he's the same player. I don't think he's digressed at all. There were just runs last year that were so perfectly blocked. The defense was so out of position where he ripped for some big 60, 80-yard runs. And that was more on the defense, in my opinion, than on him. So I think he's a darn good back, and he's a better player than he was last year. That's just Scar's opinion.
Well, and let me give you my opinion, because there's a lot. You get some people from the outside that come in. Here's SD, who's calling Donovan Edwards soft, and he says you all are cooked if you ever play Georgia or an SEC team. Well, it's going to happen, SD. So we're looking forward to that. So we'll save this receipt. Donovan Edwards is, he is the opposite of soft. Go ahead, sleep on him. I really liked what Edwards said this week. He was brought up before the media. He said he's not tripping. He said if he gets towards these bigger games and he's played like he has through the first 5, now 6 games, then you might have a point. But he said believe in him, and unless there was something like I don't know about. Sometimes you can have a personal problem or something. He said that they say he was 100%. Like there was nothing like that way. Like he didn't say like, oh, I'm still feeling it with my knee that I got nothing. So he's a special weapon, and I wouldn't be down on him at all if I was a Michigan fan. I heard what I wanted to hear from him this week, and now that Mullings is in there too, this just gives Michigan another weapon there. And Donovan Edwards is one of the better playmakers in college football. So SD, take your shots in now. Do it all. You know what Michigan fans are saying? They got their hands out there like a little emoji. Bring it on. Go ahead.
Benny, when Donovan's in the game, if he's the one back in the game, he is what he is as a run threat, and people can say what they want, but he's the pass threat too, and that's what. Wow, 17 Arizona's up 17-0.
I don't know. That's what BN is saying.
There you go. That's what I mean. It's like you go on the road. I don't care who you are. You go on the road, and you got to get ready mentally to play every week. But listen, we got 3 running backs, and they all give something different. And we're going to need all of them, man, because you don't know who's going to get dinged up.
Yeah, well, SD, you're a troll, which is fine. I don't mind that. Coming in, you can say whatever you want about Edwards, but on that one, I don't know if it was a 4th down or if it was a 3rd down, they ended up giving it, I believe, to Corum. But Edwards was in motion, and the defense adjusted to him. I mean, they definitely shifted over to him. Then they gave it to Corum, and he went over to the left side. So you could say whatever you want, but I hope these SEC teams that you're so involved with and so, on their jock so much, that I hope they're thinking the same thing. They're like, oh, let's not worry about number 7. Let's not worry about number 7. That's what Ohio State did last year, SD. I hope the other teams that you're talking about, do the same thing. So, all right, Scar, I've cleared my playbook here. I wanted to talk about Edwards and Khalil Mullings and, JJ and Harbaugh sliding in for that picture. And, this was a complete game for Michigan. These first 3 Big Ten games, if they started the season out like this, you'd just be like, man, they're smashing everybody. I mean, they're the number 2 team in the country. And, I was saying, when you see some of the other teams in the bigger games, you can put them in there. Doesn't really matter. They're on course, whether you think they're the number 1 team, 2, 3, or 4, they're in the top 5. And, so there's no questioning that. Go ahead, and we'll sit around arguing it. So that's my thought on Michigan and where they sit as they get ready for Indiana coming up a week from today.
Yeah, just, Denny, just a great overall team win, great coaching, great playing, securing the ball, again, securing the football, great job adjusting from coaches, and we're just rolling, man. We're back home. I thought this Minnesota game early in the year, preseason, I had this game as one of our toughest games going to Minneapolis because the way but this is not, they weren't as physical offensively as they've been, but I'll take it. We're in good shape. We're healthy. We're coming back home. We got the Hoosiers, and because we know who's 2 weeks away is those guys down the street.
Oh, the guys down
the
street.
We can't think about that game. You cannot think about it. You got to take care of business with the Hoosiers, but it's hard because in the back of the mind, those guys are there.
What's hard for Michigan State is that, Urban Meyer, maybe, he visited East Lansing, whatever else. And, he'd be the number 1 coach on my board. If I was a Michigan State fan, I'd be thinking, man, Urban Meyer, yeah, sure. Ethics and morale, morals. I'm sorry. Those things come into play. But if you're just talking about football, I'd have wide eyes for Meyer myself. But, PJ Fleck is a viable choice. I mean, Narduzzi is who I hope gets it because I really love this. I don't like Narduzzi. I didn't like him when he was at Michigan State. He said stupid things when he was at Pitt. He'd be perfect there, going into East Lansing. Michigan will run him for 5 years, and then they'll be looking for the next head coach. But Fleck's a pretty good head coach, but, he's not going to be he's not going to get a chance to get that job at East Lansing when you're getting rolled by 42 about Michigan. No Michigan State fans thinking about, oh yeah, we really hope we're going to row the boat, after 42, and then they lose to Northwestern. There's no chance he's going to get the job unless he comes alive a little bit in the second half. And I think he's a good coach. I think he would be actually a good choice for Michigan State. But no State fans are going to look and say,
I don't want him to get the Duke coach or the Kansas coach. But I tell you, a good coach who's out there, they want a Spartan. If you want a Spartan, Phil Parker, the defensive coordinator at Iowa, that's a hell of a good football coach. He's the defensive coordinator for 10 years. They probably won't hire him. He hasn't been a head coach, but he's a Spartan. I played against him. He was a damn good player. Anyway, Danny, I'm over and out. It's all good. It's go blue. We're rolling. We got the Hoosiers coming in town, and we'll be ready, and we'll get that one, and then get the Spartans, and then it's the bye week, and we just grind.
52-10 for Jim Scarcelli. I'm Dennis Fithian.
All right.